Straight ahead on News 10 at 11, living and dying with Lou Gehrig's disease. You'll hear the inspiring stories of local residents. And New York State's official Christmas tree lights up the Empire State Plaza.
Looks like a rainy Monday ahead.
It's all next on News 10 at 11. Tension rises between the U.S. and Cuba as the fate of a 5-year-old boy hangs in the balance. News 10 at 11 is next.
It's 11 o'clock. News 10 starts now.
A stubborn fire in Schenectady injures a firefighter and destroys at least 2 houses. Good evening, everybody. I'm Sara Welch. We're coming on the air tonight on the edge of a breaking story. A fire in Schenectady injured a fire lieutenant tonight. His name has not yet been released, but first reports are that the firefighter was hit in the head by flying debris. We don't know the extent of his injuries, but we do know the fire engulfed 2 homes at 10 and 12 Chestnut Street. No other injuries are reported, and we will have more information on this story as it becomes available. News of the injured firefighter comes as firefighters throughout the Northeast remember 6 brave men killed in the line of duty. They died battling a giant warehouse fire in Worcester, Massachusetts. At fire stations throughout the capital region, flags are flying at half-staff. Some local firefighters are preparing to attend the funerals of the fallen heroes. Meantime, the bodies of one of the firefighters was positively identified today. Jack Harper reports.
At just around 10:30 this morning, it seemed for a moment everything stopped. Firefighters involved in the search paused to salute. Families were walked in for a moment with their thoughts and prayers. It was obvious the first of the victims had been located. But it's also very clear the search still before the firefighters could be a long one.
This morning we continue the operation here. We're still fighting the fire. The fire is still burning, and we're still continuing the recovery process.
Incredibly, it's still burning. All night they searched. They're tearing down as they go, still uncertain where they'll find their brothers.
We do have small groups of search teams in the building at this time. We have 2 groups of 2 people in the building searching. We have search and rescue dogs also on scene that we are using.
Outside the remains of the Worcester cold storage building, the agony of the tragedy is evident. Inside, the work seems never ending.
It looks a mess. It looks like a pile of rubble. There is little but some steel framing left intact besides the brick walls that you can see. Most of the wood structure and everything else in it has collapsed.
And that was Jack Harper reporting. Also tonight, the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development put out statistics about New York State's population, and it confirms what many people have already suspected. People are moving out of the state. The city with the biggest population decline was Utica, with a population drop of 21%. Niagara Falls was not far behind with a 20.5% decline. The capital region also saw a sharp drop in its population. The number of people living in Albany fell 7.3% during the 1990s. Troy's population fell 9.4%, and Schenectady's population dropped 9.2%. Glens Falls, 8.8% fewer people live there than it did 10 years ago. Wall Street is bracing for aftershocks after the latest economic news from Japan. Japan's government tonight said its country's government shrank more than expected in the second quarter of the fiscal year. That news is a major blow to Japan's hopes of overcoming its worst economic rut in decades. We'll be right back with more coming up. Stay with us.
News 10 is sponsored by Cellular One.
In Pittsfield, Massachusetts tonight, there are more questions than answers from yesterday morning's fatal hit-and-run accident. A motorist struck and killed 37-year-old Mark Wood of Pittsfield near the intersection of 4th Street and Silver Lake Boulevard. Police say the driver fled the scene. The accident happened before the sun came up, and so far, police say no eyewitnesses have come forward. A couple of holiday shoppers have found themselves on the wrong side of the law tonight. State police are looking for one man who appears to be passing out counterfeit money in the capital region. Police say the man used phony $100 bills to shop at Walmarts and Kmarts in the area. And in a separate case, the Saratoga County Sheriff's Department arrested a Glenmont woman for allegedly stealing diamond rings from the JCPenney's at the Clifton Country Mall. Police say 28-year-old Sharon Meyer stole the rings after the store declined her credit card. Turns out the woman is a healthcare worker, and the credit card, police say, belongs to the woman she cared for. The Empire State Plaza burst with holiday cheer tonight as Lieutenant Governor Mary Donahue lit the state Christmas tree. Dr. and Mrs. Jeffrey Greenhouse of Guilderland donated the 35-foot blue spruce. The warm weather helped attract thousands of people to the plaza. No ice skating, though, because it was too warm for that. The tree lighting even topped off with a glorious fireworks display and a visit by Santa Claus. In Troy, thousands of people strolled through downtown for the 17th annual Victorian Stroll. Some residents donned authentic 19th century clothing, and artists entertained the crowd with old-time music. Retailers dressed their windows in their holiday best, all pleased with the turnout. Well, this holiday season so far is anything but joyful for a 5-year-old Cuban boy rescued from Florida waters. His fate has become a political football, and today it got kicked hard by Cuban President Fidel Castro. That story tonight from ABC's Robert Schmidt.
Anuncien la devolución de ese niño antes de 72 horas.
Fidel Castro is angry. The Cuban dictator says if 5-year-old Elian Gonzalez is not returned to his father in Cuba within 72 hours, millions of Cubans will take to the streets in a mass protest against the United States. Elian is the miracle boy who clung to an inner tube and was rescued at sea Thanksgiving Day when the refugee boat he rowed out of Cuba sank with 10 on board, including his mother and stepfather. Elian's father, Juan Miguel Gonzalez, says he wants Elian back. Usually, custody of a child goes to the surviving parent. But a 1966 U.S. law says any Cuban refugee reaching American soil can stay here. President Castro says he can't trust U.S. courts to decide. Political sentiment here clearly favors anti-Castro Cubans. Sentiments like those of presidential candidate John McCain on Meet the Press asked if he would return Elian to Cuba.
Of course not.
You keep him here.
Sure, freedom is something that I want for all people in Cuba and every oppressed country in the world, and I certainly would not want to put anybody in the hands of Mr. Castro.
President Castro has stationed more soldiers around the U.S. mission in Havana, presumably the site of the threatened mass protest. Meanwhile, Elian's family in Florida will continue to fight his return. But in the meantime, the family prepares for something else, a birthday. On Monday, Elian turned 6. Bob Schmidt, ABC News.
Warm weather blanketed the capital region today. Mike Mailey will be coming up next and tell us how long it will last. And then a little later, it's a history lesson with Sam Waterston.
How Annie Oakley could have changed history. From the archives of the History Channel, that story coming up.